Happy Showcase Sunday, and this is a different Showcase Sunday this week because we are summarising. The last 4 weeks has been a whirlwind in the hospitality industry. We have been struggling with staffing crisis, mental health and well-being, customers where their high expectations have gone beyond what they have done before, and what has been an interesting but also a very difficult subject is the abuse and the difficult customers that the hospitality industry has been experiencing. And then we had the answer to all the viruses last week, which was unbelievable. So I'm going to introduce you to each of the elements, a summary of each of the elements and each of the Showcase Sundays, so that you get the best out of AJLEX Showcase Sunday. And I'd like to introduce you the first of our Showcase Sunday, which was the amazing Caroline Pett. Now, Caroline Pett is an anxiety specialist. She was speaking all about this current staffing crisis that we have in the industry and how to support the mental health and well-being of your teams who are struggling, top tips of how to actually handle difficult circumstances and how to work and cope with all sorts of elements being discussed throughout the industry at the moment. And she gave some amazing top tips. So over to Caroline Pett.
I'm Caroline. I'm an anti-anxiety specialist, as Alison has told you. I live and work just outside of Carlisle, so in the lovely Eden Valley, which is just beautiful, especially when the sun's shining. And I work online as well as in person. I've got a beautiful room in the village of Armathwaite. I work primarily with people that are dealing with anxiety. And as Alison said, I do that through hypnosis, but also through life coaching and emotional freedom technique. I also use energy techniques such as Reiki, and I have all sorts of different tools in my box. I also work with people that are struggling with alcohol addiction or over drinking, and to help them bring that down safely. And that's been a big problem at the moment. So a lot of work going on there too.
So yeah. And I ask you, Caroline, what are your 5 top tips that you would give to everybody at the moment?
So when it comes to stress and anxiety, take a break, step back, rest, and your mind will come up with solutions. And on a bit of a side note to that, just be aware that stress and anxiety is a natural reaction and you're in an unusual situation. So you should feel stress and anxiety, and you're not mentally ill and you're not going mad. But do give yourself time to take that break, and it will help you feel better. When it comes to over drinking, it is easier to follow rules 100% of the time than 98% of the time. If you're only following rules 98% of the time, you're always wondering, is this that 2%? So take a break from drinking for a set amount of time, or only drink on certain days, but set yourself some guidelines and stick to them. So don't start giving yourself, oh yeah, but it was sunny today, so I thought I'd have a G&T. If it's one of your non-drinking days. If it's a non-drinking day, it's a non-drinking day, and it is non-negotiable.
So really, I was just going to say, really, that's a non-negotiable, and that's the key, isn't it? And setting yourself smarter objectives, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, and then evaluate and review it and see how you're getting on. But those smarter objectives are the things that gives you the goals and objectives to win, to be successful.
Exactly, and you often only think about the SMART objectives when it comes to business things or coaching people to improve, but actually it works for personal goals and stuff as well. So yeah, if you make a plan and stick to it. Also planning other activities as well. So if you know that you start getting a bit itchy for a drink at 5 p.m, plan to do something else, whether that's go for a walk with a friend, or you're going to watch a particular movie and you're going to get snacks for it, you know, whatever, but plan something else to do at that time. Now, sleeping well, this is number 3, underpins everything. If you don't sleep well, everything else is going to feel much, much harder. And when it comes to sleeping well, a good routine is key. So your body gets to know when it's time to go to sleep. So you have to treat yourself a bit like you would treat a child and have a set bedtime. Now, this also means it works better if you also have a set getting up time, which means no lying on a Saturday and a Sunday, because that breaks your routine. By all means, get up, get a cup of tea, head back to bed at the weekend, or in hospitality, probably not at the weekend, but whatever your rest days are. But yes, good routine is key when it comes to sleeping well. And also in order to, so number 4, in order to help you sleep well, and for your stress and anxiety levels throughout the day, is to allow rest periods throughout the day where your mind is doing absolutely nothing. So there's a part of your mind called the default mode network, and it's a bit like standby mode. And that only kicks on if you're not doing anything. So that means put your phone down, stop scrolling through Facebook, turn the TV off, don't have the radio on, don't read, sit and do nothing, just daydream and allow your mind to wander over a cup of tea or a glass of juice or a biscuit, you know, whatever. Just sitting in or sit outside for 2 minutes and get your face in the sun. But that default mode network starts sorting out your experiences from the day and tagging them for processing while you're asleep. And by allowing yourself time to do that during the day, you don't get that bit where your head hits the pillow and your mind just goes because it's not had time to do it throughout the day. So you will fall asleep more easily if you have rests during the day, even a little snooze during the day. And then my final and probably the biggest top tip is ask for support. Whether that is for somebody with dealing, like myself, dealing with anxiety, or whether it is for a specific situation that you've got, so something that maybe Alison could help you with, or financial advice or business advice, or if there is a specific problem that you're struggling with, get support with it, because you can try to solve things on your own, but actually there's somebody out there who either knows the answer or knows who will know the answer, and you will kick yourself when you realize that the solution is really, really simple, but you would have never come to it on your own. So asking for help really is sometimes the hardest thing to do, but really makes such a big difference.
And wow, Joan Lind, as we have the current issues with staffing in the industry, in the hospitality industry, and it's all over the UK at the moment. Joan Lind from Trybooking actually came up with some amazing top tips of how to help your teams to actually save time, become more efficient, become more effective within your organization, and actually potentially streamline your organization and your effectiveness moving forward. So we've got Joan Lind from Trybooking helping you to, you know, with the functions and about the different aspects of Trybooking that help and support not just the hospitality industry, but the events industry as well, taking so much responsibility and time off you. And it's a cloud-based system that you can actually have a look at anywhere in the world. So over to you, Joan.
So yes, I'm Joan, and I'm the Managing Director of Trybookingcom, which some of you may have heard of and some of you may have not. But we're a national UK online booking, ticketing, registration platform for events. But we happen to have our head office in Cumbria, here in Kendal. And we work with all sorts of organisations, from the Cumbria Chamber of Commerce to Lakeland Inns, to outdoor cinemas, etc., and charities and schools. And we help them ease admin and make life a lot easier when they're selling tickets or taking registrations for events. Yeah.
Now, on my showcase Sundays, I always ask for top tips. And I love to hear what your top 5 tips for the hospitality industry would you give?
Okay, can I give you my first one? I think hotels in particular need to think differently about their local community. So hotels rely on business people coming in or tourists, but around you is a whole raft of people that haven't been out, and they're probably choosing pubs or their favourite restaurant as a place to eat. So I think there's a huge opportunity for hotels to reposition them and open themselves up and make themselves the heart of the community again. So that's my first tip. And when I say that, I mean things like, for example, most hotels, not all hotels, I understand, but a lot of hotels have got outdoor space, even if it's a car park. Some of you have little gardens, some of you have got vast amounts of space. Not many hotels think about how to use the outdoor space. How many hotels have farmers markets on their premises?
Yeah.
How many hotels do open air cinemas? So I would say to you, think about your whole real estate, not just the internal rooms and the F&B offering. Think really creatively, because I think there's some brilliant small hotels. It's always the small independent hotels are the most creative. There's a lot of large hotels that are in the centres of towns and the centres of cities, and they just need to rethink how they're going to attract their local customer and get them back in. And I think it is about using the real estate differently, but also I think it's about putting on different types of things for them. You know, so not just expect them to turn up at the bar or the restaurant or the occasional murder mystery night, and think differently about how you're going to get all your local punters to reconnect with your hotel. And that's where the customer's coming from, because nobody's going overseas.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's going overseas. Nobody's going to be, people are traveling, but they're looking to have proper staycations. There's a huge opportunity for hotels. And I'm thinking, I've got a hotel, a big hotel quite close to me. I think, wouldn't it be wonderful if I got a little direct marketing in the post saying, we'd love you to come up and visit. Look at all the stuff that we're doing. Oh, and your kid who normally couldn't swim in the swimming pool after 5 o'clock at night, you can come up in the evenings now and enjoy a swim with them in the health club. Just think differently about all the real estate you've got and all the current rules you've got, and look at how you can break them to get people to come back in and enjoy your venue, because you're going to rely on your locals more than ever before.
I love that, and I think it's so important, because everybody's looking for an experience now.
Exactly.
And because everybody's been locked up for so long in all essence, and experience is key for any business. But if you can add value on a global scale, you know, it would be unreal and they would always recommend and refer, because what people do is tend to look after the ones who've looked after them.
Exactly.
And I think if businesses and hotels or hospitality venues can actually just do that. I mean, I love, you know, the ideas of the.
I think a really tangible example.
Yeah.
Restaurants are very good at showcasing their chefs. I would say hotels, on the whole, there's certainly clear some hotels who don't. So I wouldn't know who the chef is at my local hotel, for example. But why not put on an event that showcases the things you're brilliant at? Let's put on a cooking class, and it's your chef and his team that lead it.
Yeah.
And I go, I've never cooked Jamaican food, I've never cooked a proper Thai curry. And you put on class, I go, oh, this is brilliant. I get to learn some cooking skills. I get to meet the team at this local hotel and sample all their gorgeous food. So it's things like that, bringing teams that are often behind the scenes and making the most of them to re-engage your community. So that's one example, running cooking classes for the local community with your chef and his team at the helm. You know, another is you might have a hotel with gorgeous gardens that are really enjoyed by the guests. But hey, those guests are maybe just not there. Why not do spring wreath making or summer floral arranging and have a floral arranging class?
And have afternoon tea delivered.
And have afternoon tea delivered, exactly. And so it's about adding that experience, giving people things that they can't do at home. But showcasing all the wonderful, when I say real estate, I mean from the flower beds of your hotel through to whatever. So that's my main tips, is thinking really creatively about how you can use all that talent and real estate within your hotel to re-engage with your customers, and particularly the local community who are not, we're just not traveling. People might say they are, but people are staying at home and they are looking for things to do. Well, my next tip is honestly just to look, don't be scared of things new. And I say this not as, I do see it within the hotel sector, but I say it more broadly. I think us Brits, and Alison's heard me say this before, I've been in a very privileged position. I've lived overseas for many years. And my biggest shock returning to the UK in my mid-40s, having been away for 15 years, was not the weather or anything like that. And everybody said, oh, you must miss the weather of Australia. I said, well, I don't really, because I quite like the seasons. It was how reserved the Brits are. We are painfully reserved. I truly believe we're hanging on the coattails of our Victorian ancestors. Look at the progression they made. And we're scared of anything new. Yeah. And I think that's particularly true in the hospitality sector, because you've got such big infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I see a lot in the discussions I'm having with the hospitality sector is changing, and this is where it comes right back to Trybooking, to cloud-based platforms. And I see so many amazing cloud-based platforms that can really help the hotel industry. And be it Room Raccoon, I'm just naming a couple, I mean, that's not going to be very fair, but I just think of Room Raccoon for one example that's come top of mind. And the hotels are really nervous about legacy systems and weaning themselves off them and doing something new. You've had all this opportunity to look at everything you're doing, and please be brave, because it will save you money and it will save you time. You've just got to go forth and look at it and embrace it and trust it. And you know what? If it doesn't work, you tried it. But my bottom dollar bet is most of it will work. And that's what I really felt in Australia. The attitude is, oh, never heard of this, but we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Whereas it's not a give it a go attitude in the UK so much. And I'd urge you to give things a go and try things. And I think you'll be surprised and delighted, not disappointed most of the time.
And the next Showcase Sunday was an emergency step in from myself, Alison McGee-Barker from AJLEX Consultancy and Training. We had an abundance of FAQs coming in, frequently asked questions, and also real hard-hitting issues that were really struggling in the hospitality industry. The guest expectations were sky high. We had difficult and abusive customers, and our teams were really struggling to cope with the issues that were going on. So I gave some amazing top tips of how to make sure that you look after everybody, but be very clear and communicate what you will tolerate, what is your brand, what you will accept and what you will not accept. And actually help you and support you throughout these difficult times, and also in difficult circumstances, and how to actually alleviate some of the issues by staying calm and staying clear in your direction. So over to me on the Showcase Sunday, a summary of what I said. And this week's Showcase Sunday, I'm actually giving you lots of ideas, but also showcasing where the industry is struggling and what is actually happening out there. We have seen on the news recently that some businesses are wearing t-shirts, #BeKind, and making a standpoint. And I wanted to address and help and support the hospitality industry to actually be able to be ready, give you some top tips, but also dive a little bit deeper and explain every one of those tips for you today. So the top tips: when you have people who are being difficult, the number one thing is to listen. There will be an element of something that's going on in their own lives. Do not take it personal, because this is something that is really important that you've got to train your team on. Now, we have got, when we looked at it, we have got certain elements that we need to address first and foremost. What is your business right now? What are you allowing? What are you not allowing? What is your ethics and values? And these are massive, massive to be communicated, not just to your teams, but your teams are vitally important that you say what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. But what is really important on your ethics and values, and do you share that throughout your whole organization and also throughout your customer communication as well? So be clear. So on your website, on your social media, you know, have the hashtag Be Kind, but also be really clear that you will not tolerate. And I mean this, even if it's, you know, your occupancy and your revenue, I totally understand it, but everybody will back you up if you're very clear on your ethics and values, what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. The other element is when you are dealing with difficult customers, then listen. And definitely the training and development of your teams now is vital, and of yourself and your management team, because you are in unknown territory. This is not normal circumstances for guests to be so upset, so uptight, and so difficult. But actually take time out. Listen, put people at ease. If you can, make sure there's no audience about when people are getting very angry and very upset. But actually just listen. And if it is where you will have to remove them from your business, then so be it. Because if you've been very clear in your communication on your media channels, maybe on your business, but also, you know, whether you have a highlight, and I know it's difficult if you're a luxury operation, but you need to be very communicative about how you're going to handle it. And the big thing that so many members of the teams in hospitality are really struggling with right now is that they're frightened because they're not empowered. So empower your team, that if they have a difficult circumstances and they've had the training and development of knowing what to accept and what not to accept, and how to deal with different circumstances, then help them to know that you've got their back, that you will support and you will empower them to be able to make those decisions, because that is key for a happy working environment. Now, the big thing is in all this is stay calm. If you don't stay calm and you get triggered, it multiplies the issue massively. And it's not worth it whatsoever, and it puts distress, anxiety, fear on your team members. So help them to understand what stay calm looks like, you know, to take deep breaths, to change their mindset, but don't be triggered, because if you get triggered, as you know, it doesn't help the issue. So lower your voice, take time out, and actually help your guests to understand that this is not acceptable. I think as well is when I say shift your mindset, always think positively, that this is not about you, it's not personal whatsoever. This is about that person who's obviously their expectations of what they were anticipating have not been met. Or it could be something else has happened within their lives that are now impacting on what you are doing. And 9 times out of 10 complaints are of that, if they're quite aggressive, angry, or they've got a bit of distress attached to them. And this is not yours to hold on to. It is difficult. I totally understand that. I've been in situations myself where people have been very, very intolerable on the abusiveness or actions where it wasn't relevant to actually what had happened, the situation or the scenario. And here it's about staying calm, lowering your voice, listening, and obviously, you know, acknowledge their distress and say, I understand that you're upset. I understand you've obviously not happy with this current situation, and repeat back to them what that means, because so many times it's not what they're thinking. They're just firing off on all cylinders, and you're the first one to get the bullets, unfortunately, and that's not acceptable. And I think find out what's going on if you can. What is the issues that's obviously triggered that person? You know, you can respond really clearly if you actually know what the distress is, and sometimes it's nothing to do with you. And I think it's really important that you listen, you find out what's happening, what's caused the distress, and how you can help and support each and every person within your organization, but also your customers too, because everybody around them will be feeling very uncomfortable as well, all your other guests, and that's not something that they expected or anticipated happening when they were coming to visit your business or your organization. So understand what's going on, try and take a step back and understand what is the big picture here, and has it got any relevance to your business, or is it just something that's happening out of your control, but out of your guest control as well. And I know so many people are, you know, having difficult experiences in life right now with fear, anxiety. You know, we've got enough going on with people wearing a mask and actually reminding guests to be COVID secure. I totally appreciate that, but actually doing it in an order where it is personable, so that even if you said it a million times in the day, remember the last person walks through the business or the building or your organization should have the same service as the first person. Be consistent, be effective, be positive, keep your mindset of, and keep having moments where you grab the team together and say, guys, we're in it together. We're here to help and support each other. And it's okay. It's okay to have a rough day or a rough moment, but let's pick ourselves up and work as a team, and let's hope, let's motivate and hold each other up to be able to take each day as it comes, but actually look at every member of your team and be very aware. Remember the mental health awareness, because some people may handle it effectively, some people may struggle with it. So be very understanding about confidence on how your team are handling certain situations, but training, communication is so key right now. Meet your guest expectations, communicate with them. If you don't communicate with them, the problems you get is they start getting impatient, aggravated, and that's when the complaints start to happen. And what we want is, obviously, the more you communicate and explain, we're having a difficult day today, or we're really struggling right now, and we are trying to serve you as quickly as possible, but we will have a wait time of 40 minutes instead of the usual 20 minutes. Then at least they are informed, and guests can make their own informed decisions, and that's the key. Wow, and the last but not least was Catherine Benson. Now, Catherine Benson, if you remember, is from P4 Technology. Wow, what content we got from here, and what game changer elements, 4 layers, P4 Technology, 4 layers to help and support your business, but also schools, hospitals, homes, care homes, etc., and any building whatsoever. And she did quote 20 pence per child for a year, for 365 days of the year, in a school, that would help and support and actually eliminate things like COVID, Listeria, Legionella, norovirus, SARS. And it was 99.9% effective, with lots of accreditation, and obviously with Public Health England as well. So let's go over to Catherine Benson from P4 Technology.
It's Catherine Benson from P4 Technology Limited. We are a company that came together in the darkest days of the pandemic last year, around July, August time. And we were a bunch of business owners, entrepreneurs, call us what you will. And we thought that there had to be a way out of this pandemic. There had to be a different route to the official channels that were being taken. So we got together, and some of the specialist work that I do sits in and around the research and development arena, and I'd come across a couple of companies who I'd recently worked with, and suddenly the light went on and realised that if we put those companies together, we could provide a 4-level protection that would stop COVID-19 in its tracks, would stop the transmission, would stop the potential of people getting it. It would allow us to reopen our economy safely and quickly, and it would then obviously stop people losing their jobs, their businesses, their livelihoods while staying safe. The 4-level is very simple. It started with a way of identifying the easy targets, so people carrying a temperature with a camera. Those people then were excluded from entering that building. They then, for those that didn't display a temperature, which is the connecting factor apparently with every case, that if you didn't display a temperature because perhaps you were just in the really early stages of infection and you got into the building, there was a second layer of protection in the form of a Seagate. A Seagate is very similar to an arch that you would go under in any airport when they're detecting that you're carrying something you shouldn't be. And this Seagate actually sent out fluid, disinfectant fluid. It was on for so long, a light then flashes when it's dispersed enough of the liquid, and it allows you to pass through that arch and into the building. What that actually does is it removes any of the virus from yourself and from anything that you may be carrying, which stops the transmission, not only from person to person, but from building to building. Because people at that time were entering a supermarket, then perhaps going back into an office, and they may have picked that virus up unknowingly in that supermarket through touching something, through actually somebody coughing and sneezing in the air, and those droplets landed on a piece of their clothing. Then they put that on a chair, somebody else touches it, and so on and so on. We then have a third part of the solution, which is the air purification unit. What nobody seemed to be getting the grasp of, particularly last year, was that this virus is airborne and that it travels through the air. It travels through central heating systems, air conditioning, under doors in buildings like care homes and hospitals, which is why it spreads so quickly. And the only way that you can do that is to clean the air that people breathe. The air purification device is an electro-patented foil filtration device, British made, British produced, and has actually been made by a company who actually produce equipment for NASA to put into space. They produce all of the BBC transmitters, and they do work for Ferrari and Porsche, to name but a few. So these are very, very clever people, very, very clever British business owners. And they put together this particular device, which plugs in like an electric heater, costs pennies to run, and there is no installation, no maintenance costs. And actually, you could, for 20p per person, keep a primary school completely safe 365 days of the year by installing one of these devices in each classroom. Now, people say that's maybe a little expensive to begin with, and possibly they may be right, but organisations didn't have to buy out the devices outright. They could actually lease them on a month-to-month basis. But if we think about the money that's paid out in furlough, in sick pay, in health and safety assessments, and all of the other ongoing costs that are being applied during this pandemic, these machines are not expensive at all. But thinking about the bigger picture, maybe it looks a little bit at the outset, but we think how many years they last for, 8 years, how long they actually last, then there's certainly a good investment. And just to have the bells and braces on the back of that, the fourth layer is actually your fogging, your sanitizing liquids, your fogging machines, your desktop demisters, the ones you can put in like a little flask, like a drinking cup in your car, which means if you get somebody else in your car, you can constantly fog. You can leave these demisters on your desk, move them around, the portable, the Wi-Fi. And all they are made of is they're made from hydrochloric acid, electrolyzed water, and salt. but done in a very specific way. What's great about that? Well, no chemicals, can't harm the environment. They're recyclable bottles, so they're good for, again, good for the environment. They can be suitable for people who are vegan, suitable for people who are of the halal culture, and they're also suitable for children and pets, because there is nothing, even if you drank this liquid, which I'm not suggesting anybody should, but the worst case scenario is they'd be quite sick. They wouldn't be poisoned like a chemical. And hydrochloric acid is the body's own natural healer. So we're only taking what we already have in our body and actually using it to help protect ourselves. Right. So for the hospitality industry, I would recommend to invest in some tabletop demisters, to spray your rooms maybe, I don't know, every few hours, as I've done this week. There is no downtime. You can actually spray around people. They may not actually want to be sprayed around, but you could technically spray around people. You don't have to have a downtime of not being able to use that room for an hour or so. You can literally spray around. It takes you under 5 minutes, and you could open the door and go back in. Wow. So there's no, and that is the difference between using a chemical and not using a chemical. If the person that is using your disinfectant spray has to wear a hazmat suit, or tells you you have to close your room for an hour afterwards, regardless of what they tell you, there is some chemicals in there that are not good for humans. Wow. This is very, very natural ingredients. Very natural. It's literally like going dipping yourself in the sea.
Yeah, but healthier.
Healthier.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And other top tips, you know, because we've got that you potentially, well, you could do it at all times, couldn't you? You can demystify it all.
Yeah, we could. And we actually now can offer hospitality skills industry. We can now actually offer them the opportunity to buy an IBM. What's and literally, it's just it's like a big square tank where they can just refill their bottles as they run out, which makes it a more cost-effective option. So now, instead of a small bottle of hand sanitizer costing, as you see on the website, £3.69, you can actually get a refill for about £12, and it'll do it over 100 times.
Wow.
So it actually now takes it down to about 20p.
And thank you so much for joining us on this Showcase Sunday, which is a roundup, it's a summary of all the best elements of the Showcase Sundays for the last 4 weeks. Wow, what an experience it has been, and so much content, so much help and support for our hospitality and tourism businesses throughout the whole of the UK. It's absolutely brilliant that lots of businesses are picking up on the Showcase Sundays now, and it's helping you to actually work effectively, more efficiently with your teams, and actually help and support your business and yourselves too. So may I wish you a happy Sunday and a happy weekend. Take care. Hope you're all well. And as always, I'm here to help and support you.